What up, fam? Saturday night. We're here for our secret sermons. We're doing our Secret Teachings of Jesus segment where I read you guys portions from the Nag Hammadi scriptures out of the Gnostic Gospels. And I was just really interested and curious, and I wanted to read the Gnostic Gospels, and I never have had a chance to, and I didn't know when I would squeeze that in life, so I thought I would make it a weekly segment where we could both learn about them and read them together. And I think what I've been doing is going through one book at a time and doing one portion per week. And we're currently on the Gospel of Philip, but if you're interested, I do have a playlist on my channel. It's called Secret Teachings of Jesus. And before the Gospel of Philip, we went through the whole Gospel of James. James is Jesus' brother. I don't know if you knew that, but Jesus had a brother. Can you imagine being the sibling of Jesus? It'd be a lot to live up to. Let's see, what else? We do this after midnight for a couple of reasons. One being that I'm usually working on Saturday night, so I am usually not home until after midnight, so that's when I have time to do them, and that's when we record our episode. But the mystical significance is that midnight is a powerful liminal space between the end of one thing and the beginning of the next. So the veil is very thin, and all kinds of mystical and magical traditions consider midnight to be one of the most powerful times of day. Noon as well, but midnight even more so, because of the changeover and from one day to the next. Also, the Hebrew sages would study and still do after midnight because of that reason, because more light is able to be revealed during that liminal space and that time, but also because when we push ourselves out of our comfort zone and push ourselves through our tiredness and the fact that we don't feel like doing the work or studying, that actually creates even more power and opens us up for even more understanding and more blessing to come from it, because we made a sacrifice. Just like, people used to, slaughter animals, and sometimes they still do. What that is doing is it is releasing energy to be redirected or reassigned, right? And so instead of opening up the energy of a life form, we do something even more powerful, which is we break our own flesh in the spirit of Eucharist, and we open up energy through self-sacrifice. And we can do that by dying to certain mindsets and ego patterns, and making, sacrificing the comfort of the flesh, or delaying that gratification, or making a selfless sacrifice for the sake of sharing. So there's different ways to do that, but one way is putting yourself out of your comfort zone and stretching and pushing in the spirit of perseverance. All right, so no further ado, I will read you this portion from the Gospel of Philip, and then I will unpack it line by line. This one is only like 2 sentences, guys. I'm not making any promises. I always say maybe we'll get out and a little short video tonight, but it's always usually like 45 minutes. But I think tonight we might be able to handle this one. So this portion, and then I'll read it line by line, and then I'll go back and unpack it. And I will give you the insights that I'm channeling through in the moment. And I have literally just read this portion just before the video started. I'm not a theologian. We're just doing this because we're having fun and we're interested. However, I will say this. I've gone back just out of curiosity and read through some of the introductions to some of these Gospels, where they're laying out the context of things, and we haven't been off. Actually, we've been nailing it, even though we've been channeling. But channeling is the light coming through. It's not my own thoughts. It's just I'm getting out of the way. I'm just like an empty an empty tube, so to speak. I'm just a vessel. All right, guys, this portion is called One Who Is. The Master said, and the Master's Jesus, in case you guys don't know, when they're saying that, that's who they're referring to. The Master said, "Blessed is one who is before becoming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be." So the thing about the Gospel of Philip, it's all these like little short segments and portions that are meant to be meditated on. And I love this one because it's one of those things that sounds so simple, and yet when you let it expand inside of you, it's so profound that it's almost hard to put it into words without it becoming reductive. Okay, so the Master said, "Blessed is one who is before coming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be." Now, I would like to start by pointing out that recently, or I say recently, but in this past year, I have really come to understand the phrase eternal differently when they speak about like God being eternal, right? I used to think of eternal as something that was like describing linear time, like it always had been and always will be, like it was before and it will be, which that is making a suggestion about that here. It's like the Master said, "Blessed is one who is before coming into being, for whoever is, was, and will be." So whoever is is eternal. But I think that eternal isn't necessarily just speaking about this linear context of time. I think that eternal speaks about cause consciousness versus effect consciousness. Eternal is our ability to remain in a consistent state that we choose without fluctuating. A state of unconditional love without closing off or, shutting down or, going up and down and back and forth. A state of unconditional inner peace where we are not shaken or triggered or controlled by the outer circumstances of life. We are not victims of circumstance, unconsciously just reacting in survival mode, right? I mean, we are until we become awakened, and then we become more self-realized and we become conscious. But before that, you're just reacting. You're just on default setting. And that is actually where we're not really living in our fully human, divine status yet. We're living in more of our human animal base instinct status because we're just reacting, we're just surviving, and we're not using our free will. Because unless we have the self-control to pause and not react according to the default setting in a reflexive way, then we're not really using our free will to choose how we're showing up, how we're meeting a situation, what kind of reality that we want to co-create with the Creator, right? We are really responsible for the reality that we create. We're the stewards of the Garden of Eden, and that is the garden of our consciousness, the consciousness and our energy and our emotions and our inner landscape and our inner kingdom, because it's what's inside of us, our vibration, our thoughts, our feelings, our heart's desires, our soul's calling, like where are our souls like pulling at us and leading us to, right? All of these things within us are really the thing that's projecting the simulation that we're seeing in our 3D physical world that feels and looks solid. It looks real, but this is actually less real and less true than the vibrational signature that informs our physical reality, right? Because when things change on an energetic state, they change the physical. So the physical is changeable, it's corruptible, but the purest state of energy really isn't corruptible. It's light, and light is the fullness and the wholeness of all that is in unity and in oneness. Which brings me to my other point. So the Master said, "Blessed is one who is before coming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be." So I think that this is talking about blessed is one who is one who is in the present moment. They are surrendered to the present moment. They are not fighting the present moment. They are not wishing that they were in the future moment, in the next moment. They are not forlorn and pining and regretful about the past moment. They're not fighting against either one, and they're not reaching for the other. They are in beingness. This is a person who has inner peace. They are in attunement, in alignment, in resonance. They are not in dissonance, right? They're not creating friction. So they are in their fullness of their being, because the only real truth is in the present. The past doesn't exist anymore, and the future doesn't exist yet. It hasn't been created yet. So the present is where everything is created and experienced and brought into its fullness. And so the present is where we find the truth, all of reality, all that makes reality, and all that houses reality. The present is where divine is. And so the person who is before coming into being is a person who has found that ability to surrender to the now without fighting the process, without having to go through the process. It's not the person who finds out the truth and then believes. It's the person who believes before they see, or gets it before they have to be steered and led there. The Master said, "Blessed is one who is before coming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be." And so if the only truth is in the present, and the only reality is in the present, and the future and the past and the present are all in the present, then blessed is one who is in the present, is blessed because they are not fragmented by throwing part of their soul and their consciousness and their awareness and their energy into the past. And they're not fragmented because they're throwing their consciousness and their energy and their presence and their focus and their spirit into the future, right? A person who is in the present, like divine, is not fragmented, but one. A unified oneness of mind, body, soul, and spirit. They're in alignment. They're in the wholeness of their being. which contains the whole in the one. God. O hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. This all-encompassing light of creation, of existence, of our life force, of the universe, of the stuff outside of the universe, of the stuff outside of the multiverse, of the thing that holds the multiverse, of everything that's pushing up against the edge of reality that threatens to swallow us whole and yet pushes out like everything that we're made of at the same time. Like all of that is contained in the one. It is the wholeness of it all. And so the moments that we can connect with that and be one with that in our consciousness, like we're always one with that. But the only thing that prevents us from realizing our oneness with that is really our conscious state. Where are we? What are we focused on? Right? You know, and so basically all of these fruits of the spirit, all of these virtues, it's like we're trying to like hone them in at all times just so that we might be able to get to those moments where we are in that state of surrender, of release, where everything is whole and one, all in one place at one time. We're not fragmented. We're not a little bit here. We're not a little bit there. We're not left behind down the street somewhere. We're not miles away in our thoughts. We're here. We're with the person sitting across from us. We hear them. We listen with our heart. We see them. We are present with them. And then that is when we can see the divine in the other, and the other can see the divine in us. The Master said, "Blessed is one. Blessed is one who is before coming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be." And so you are in that unified oneness of the moment. You're in the one unified oneness with divine. And you're not fragmented, but you're in the whole of it all. So it's like you are this eternal, unwavering, unfluctuating love, peace, kindness, goodness, patience, forgiveness, gratitude, self-control. Self-control is the biggest one to me, because without it, you can't function in any of the others. And self-control is the key to being able to use your divine free will, our inheritance, our divine inheritance of free will. So yes, one who can just be in the essence of beingness is having so much affinity with the light, because the light itself, God, creator, the universe, like the universe is only the physical manifestation of God. God is so many more layers on top of that and beneath it and within it and through it. But yeah, I lost my train of thought, but the eternal oneness. Oh, yes, eternal, unfluctuating, sustaining. For whoever is, was, and will be. I'm sorry, I was just like, can you hear the cricket out there? It's mesmerizing. The Master said, "Blessed is one who is before coming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be." Just makes me keep going back to that thought of being eternal, of being unwavering, unchanging, having affinity with the light, being of one one consciousness, one body, one mind, one strength. Not split in a bunch of different ways either, you know, not being indecisive, not being like, oh, well, you know, I could go this way, I could go that way, or whatever. It's like, it's focused, it's certain, it's unified. Pure beingness, the essence of beingness. Oh yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's like God itself, the light, the universe is the essence of beingness. It's the tendency to be. It's God is pure love and creative force with this overwhelming urge of being, like an overwhelming tendency to be instead of not be. So yes, it's the essence, or the essence of reality, of existence, of life, of consciousness, of awareness, of an awakened mind consciousness that can say, oh, I am that. I am that which I am becoming. We are always in a state of becoming, right? Because we are beingness. So we weren't was, but we were was, but we're not was now. And we will be, we're not yet, but we will be, and we are that we will be. Because we're everything in the now. It's funny how, like, you can just sit and let this marinate in your mind over and over and over again. And then, I don't know, it just makes me think of the expansiveness of all of space and beyond. And that's why I love the Gnostic Gospels. It's because it's abstract and they're far out, and it really, it's like this mental yoga that like stretches your mind, and it just connects you with like the furthest reaches of reality. I love it. I think it's great. All right, guys, one more time for the cheap seats in the back. One who is. The master said, blessed is one who is before coming into being. For whoever is, was, and will be. Well, y'all, I hope you are. Hope you are going to be and be and be. I'm super excited. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a witch, a tarot reader at a children's birthday party. This girl at work, our head bartender, she hired me to come to her cute little daughter. She's got these cute two little baby, like toddler daughters that are just the sweetest little precious. And they're having a little birthday party with lots of cute little children and like cute fun grown-ups. And yeah, they're gonna have me dressed as a witch, and I'm gonna go read tarot for the children's and the grown-ups. And then I think they were gonna try to find some other interesting entertainers. But every now and then I do a party. I do like readings at a party every once in a while. It's really fun, but it's usually pretty tiring. But yeah, so I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go straight from there to work. So I'm gonna have to like be driving through town as a witch and like run into work as a witch and change and de-witch, and bewitched. All right, you guys. Well, I am going to get some rest for the children tomorrow. I'm going to eat my chili, and I will see y'all tomorrow night for our like weekly energy forecast. We didn't have it last week because of our full moon workshop, but we're back at our regularly scheduled programming now. All right, y'all. Be good, but not too good. Ciao.